Barakta Yahweh, Barakta Yahushai, Barakta Yahweh, Barakta Yahushai, Barakta Yahweh, Barakta Yahushai, Barakta Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rukakadash. Double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Working Stone Rule Well, and to the Akim tribe, the four corners of the earth, preaching the gospel from Ashek Yahushai in sincerity and truth and diligence of mind. This Brother Menashe DC camp for a short lesson to the hopeful elect. All right, because we're going through some some serious times. All right, so always remember, man. The Lord will always have a message for you to be edified. Okay, and I hope that you can always build on the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that the Lord has given brothers to distribute. All right, so I'm just gonna go into some quick lesson because I had some meditations on my mind regarding the pitfall that you're gonna have to be aware of in this ministry of ours. Okay, you have to be aware of the reasons why the Lord set up order. Okay, and not to let your feelings get in the way of doing things according to the Spirit. All right. So the book of Second Ezra, chapter 14, verse 14 tells you, all right, that's what the angel of the Lord was telling Ezra. It says, "Let go from thee mortal thoughts, cast away thy burdens." All right, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature. All right, so that means you have to let go of all these worldly reasonings, because it doesn't really get you anywhere. All it is set you up for nothing but heartaches and anxiety and panic attacks, man. And and what you say, impulsive responses. So that's the reason why you have to move in the spirit of Hamashiach Yahushai. All right, the scripture talks about the steps of a wise man are well ordered. All right, so you have to understand that you have to be aware of the challenges and the nature of of people on the earth, especially those that walk after the flesh, because once you give them an opportunity, they're gonna run things into the ground. So as a man of the Lord, you always have to keep that in mind, all right? Because you being spiritual, you have to be able to see and understand the nature of people you're dealing with, all right? So that's the reason why you have to let go of mortal thoughts, man. You can't be thinking on the same wavelength as these people in the world, even your so-called family members, all right? That's why the scriptures talks about being continually with a godly man, all right? Because he understands exactly what it requires to function in this truth and to be able to move forward, all right? To press towards that goal that Hamashiach Yahushai had made clear unto us, all right? So that's it right there, and that's the basis of the point for Second Ezra chapter 14, verse 14, and then another precept would be from the book of Sirach, chapter 33. I'm going to read from 18 to 20, all right? So it says, "Hear me, O ye great men of the people, and hearken with your ears, ye rulers of the congregation." All right? So it says in verse 19, "Give not thy son and wife, thy brother and friend power over thee while thou livest, and give not thy goods to another, lest it repented thee, and thou entreat for the same again." Yeah, so you have to understand, when the Lord puts you in a position to do certain things, you have to be very, very, very cautious of who you put in certain positions, because scripture talks about, like I just read in 2nd Ezra chapter 14, verse 14, mortal thoughts and all that, thinking about because one person is your family member, that you're good friends with this person, all that stuff. You're setting yourself up for trouble. That's why the angel told Ezra, let go from the mortal thoughts. And here he says, give not thy son and wife, thy brother and friend, power over thee while thou livest. All right. So as long as your mind is sound, you're able to reason properly according to the Holy Scriptures, you should be on guard against your feelings, against all these, so-called, family relationships and all that stuff. You have to be very, very aware of that because, people use that opportunity for manipulation. Okay, so that's a gateway of how the enemy is able to operate. That's how a lot of governments are usurped. Once they give a family member some money for some purchase, all of a sudden the investigation opens and then things start to fall apart. So you have to be careful, man, on how you do. All right. So it says in verse 20, as long as thou livest and hast breath in thee, give not thyself over to any. All right. So you have to have that hedge. That's the reason why, the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai, told his disciples to beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. You got to be careful about the doctrines out there. Otherwise, you're going to compromise the wisdom the Lord has given unto you. So you have to be very, 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 cautious, in how you handle your affairs, both in the ministry and in the world. All right, because when you expect things to go a certain way, all of a sudden, folks on the plantation start to complain and cry. And, all of a sudden, and it pisses you off, but what can you do? You just have to learn to take the L. So you have to be aware of the situation you're in. Otherwise, because you're going to end up, being consumed by these unnecessary burdens, okay? So another precept would be from the book of Esther. All right, this is the word of King Artaxerxes. All right, so let's see. Additions to Esther. All right, let's see. Oh, let me see. Is it yeah, this stuff is looking funny. Yeah, I'll have to update this app. All right. So additions to Esther. Let's see. Oh, that's verse 16. Yeah, okay, it's verse, it's chapter 16. All right. So, let's see. Okay, so in this app it says chapter 16, but in another app it says chapter 7. Okay, so you just have to, make sure you match it properly. All right. So, I'm going to start from verse 5. All right. So this is what Artaxerxes said, here in his letter, to his so-called, his ruling body, okay, the members of his government. It says in verse 5, oftentimes also fair speech of those that are put in trust to manage their friends' affairs had caused many that are in authority to be partakers of innocent blood, and had enwrapped them in remediless calamities. And he's speaking the truth. Right, this is what he found out, okay, from the reports he's gotten. And then it says in verse 6, beguiling with the falsehood and deceit of their lewd disposition the innocence and goodness of princes. Yeah, and that's what happens, you know, when people get into positions of authority, and they're not up about their P's and Q's. They become victims of their own vices, all right? And that's why, it's always important to let the word of the Lord, be your first priority, when you're put into a position, whether you're at the bottom, in the middle, or at the top. Always remember the word of the Lord comes first. That's the principles you have to abide by. And, it just helps you to avoid so much unnecessary conflict, because when the folks around you are getting all jacked up, they're getting the axe on the job, you understand that you have options. You don't have to worry about being threatened, as by your employment situation, all that stuff. You don't want to have an investigation. They turn over every single rock, and then you just understand, what, you don't really have to, be looking outside and be begging, because you're already prepared. That's exactly what the Lord Yahushua told his disciples, when, the gospel, the man who built his house upon the rock, you're going to get tested, all right? So you have to be ready in the spirit. So I'll read it one more time, all right? So in verse 5 it says, oftentimes also fair speech of those that are put in trust to manage their friends' affairs had caused many that are in authority to be partakers of innocent blood. All right, so there's always bribery and corruption, greed, and the apostles could tell you, and their witnesses tell you about, how bribery and and corruption led to the fall, of certain camps, and how the doctrine, the preaching of the gospel got, meddled with, by the, by the workers of darkness. All right. And then it says, and had enwrapped themselves in remediless calamities. Yeah. So for those that sold out, the Lord has a judgment for them. The remedy they can only have is death by pain. So that's the reason why, you have to be aware, man, of these situations that take place. All right. And then final precept will be from the book of Isaiah, chapter 1 and verse 23. It tells you what you have to be aware of. Historically, you have the lessons, and you understand when you look in the world how certain things took place. You have documentaries and all that stuff. You have news articles. So Isaiah chapter 1 verse 23 tells you that thy princes are rebellious and companion of thieves. All right. In other words, they've taken, they've taken liberty to join hands with corrupt individuals so they could make merchandise of our people. And that's why so many of our people get tied up in Esau's political system. All right. Then it says, everyone loveth gifts and followeth after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither doth the cause of the widow come unto them. Yeah, so you have to be aware of, all these political ideologies, man. and why our people are so quick to join hands with Esau so they could get a piece of the pie. And end of the day, they end up being a bunch of sellouts. They lead our people down the wrong path. And you just have to know, man, the Lord warned us about this situation. So that's just the point that I came. You have to be aware of the pitfalls, man. When you're serving the Lord, when you're on the plantation, man, certain things happen, and you don't want to get yourself involved with it. That's why it's always important to let the Holy Spirit lead you, and just learn, to hold your peace. All right, you don't want to be so desperate or anxious to make a quick profit. To be on a quick come up on this plantation, all these plantation hustles. All right. So, keep your eye, single and be circumspect by Hashem El Shai, by Hashem Kwakadash. Shalom.